I hope that you enjoy the program. Our MC today is News Channel 8's Rod Carter, who has been kind enough to lead our assemblies for many years. And now I would like to welcome him back for 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Rod Carter.
All right, Eric, thank you so much. And hi, everyone, and welcome to this Hillsborough Literacy Council's 2020 Annual Student and Tutor Appreciation Event. We are so sorry that we can't see everyone in person. We would love to do that, but we are still very excited for this moment today and to let you all know that we continue to appreciate and respect all of the hard work that you have done since last September. So today you're going to experience some of the moments that make this event so special. It is one of my favorite events that I do every year, and I'm so glad you guys continue to ask me to come back. First, you're going to hear from, as Eric mentioned, some esteemed speakers, including our keynote speaker, Shaba Oathfash. And then you're going to hear many greetings from our library staff who sincerely miss you. I cannot tell you how much they miss you guys so much. And you're going to get to hear 3 readings from our new Visions publication. As Eric mentioned, the Visions publication is right there in the handout section. So if you'd like to download that, in fact, we encourage you to do that and take a look at all of the readings and the writings that are in there. Now, due to the circumstances, we won't be giving out any awards this year, unfortunately. But that does not mean that we do not appreciate and care for you a great deal. And thank you so much for all of your hard work. And congratulate yourselves because you've done a wonderful job. So we look forward to awarding some prizes to our students and tutors next year in 2021. And I think we can all agree that we are ready for 2021. Please feel free to send messages to us during the event, as Eric mentioned, by using the questions function. And now I'd like to hand the mic over to our first speaker today, and that will be the president of the Hillsborough Literacy Council, Brandy Meredith.
Good morning, and welcome to the 2020 Hillsborough Literacy Council's Tutor Student Appreciation Assembly. My name is Brandy Meredith, and I'm the president of the Board of Directors this year. On behalf of the board, I want to thank you for joining us today. Our board loves this time of year because we get to celebrate the hard work and dedication of our tutors and students. This year's board includes Jennifer Schneider, Drew Pfeiffer, Bill Hunter, Carol Brocknick, Carla Guzman-Mims, and Paul Supinich. We have also been recently joined by a new board member, Joanna Cheshire. Welcome, Joanna. While we would have loved to celebrate with you all in person, we are delighted that we can gather together virtually to recognize the amazing work that you have done. The Hillsborough Literacy Council, affectionately known as HLC, provides free, confidential literacy help to adult learners in Hillsborough County. HLC administers 2 programs, Basic Literacy and English for Speakers of Other Languages, or ESOL. The Basic Literacy program provides one-on-one tutoring for adults who wish to learn to read and write up to the 5th grade level. Our ESOL program offers tutoring for adults who are learning to read and speak English. Conversation Corners are informal ESOL drop-in program for students to practice English. Thanks to the efforts of library staff, volunteers, and board members, we've been able to provide these services to the public for over 30 years. This year, COVID-19 pandemic closed our libraries and forced us all to social distance, which has required HLC to take a new look at the way we provide our services. We know that some of you have continued to learn and tutor through remote means, while others have waited patiently to see what will come next. We ask that you remain engaged with HLC. There will be new ways to use our services and volunteer coming soon. Our incredible staff, Eric Hughes and Melissa Nye, have been diligently working to bring HLC into its next phase. Eric and Melissa, thank you for your extraordinary work in a year that has been anything but ordinary. I also want to thank Director of the Hillsborough County Public Library Cooperative, Andrew Bradenbaugh, and WFLA News Channel 8 anchor Rod Carter for joining us today. You have both been incredibly supportive of Hillsborough Literacy Council throughout the years, and we know you have busy schedules, and the fact that you take time for us year after year means the world to us. Finally, I would like to give a special thank you to our guest speaker, Kaba Hosfat, who's the perfect speaker for these multimedia times. You are in for a real treat. Thank you all so much for being present today, and please enjoy the assembly.
Brandy, thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. And now we would like to welcome back our library director, Andrew Bradenbaugh.
Good morning. I'm Andrew Bradenbaugh, the director of the Tampa Hillsborough County Public Library, and it's my pleasure to be here today to celebrate literacy and your achievements. This year, we had the most significant reminder of how important literacy is to all of us, not just for improving our lives and experiencing the joy of reading, but for our safety and our connection to the community. During this COVID-19 pandemic, we've been receiving so many important messages about our health and our safety and actions which we're required or not required to do to keep ourselves and our community safe. And if you spend any time at all sifting through the many emails and social media posts and TV coverage, you quickly realize how important literacy is to our entire community and to ourselves, and just to our basic connectivity to each other. It's through text and the written word that we receive most of our safety notices. So I want to say to all the students who started down this path of improved literacy, hang in there, stick on this path. It's so important, more important now than ever. I really admire the courage that you have in taking the steps to improve your literacy skills. And when I read through the visions and all of your stories, they truly are inspiring to me. I have to say, though, that this whole endeavor wouldn't be possible without the Hillsborough Literacy Council. So while we celebrate the achievements of every student and every tutor, I also want to thank Brandy and the Hillsborough County Literacy Board of Directors for all the time that they give and their hard work and fundraising that keep the gift of literacy available to so many people in Hillsborough County. But it is my deepest thanks to all of the literacy tutors for the gracious way that you freely give your time and your energy to help all of these students succeed. I have to say, this is as you can see, this is a challenge for all of us, but I really look forward to welcoming everyone back into the library soon. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you next year in person at this celebration. Thank you so much for being here today.
Andrew, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. As always, it's really good to see you. And next time, it'll be in person, I promise. I promise. Well, I hope. I guess I can't promise. All right, next we're going to hear a message from one of our libraries, followed by a reading, My Dream, from Visions 2020. And again, just a reminder, you can download Visions 2020. It's right there in the handout section of the screen. So this story is going to be read today by one of our tutors from the Bloomingdale Library, Mary Kaufman.
Hey everyone, Michelle here with the Robert W. Saunders Senior Public Library. On behalf of the entire staff, we would just like to say how much we appreciate how hard you've worked to increase literacy throughout our community. Until we're able to be together again, please stay safe and be well.
Hello, my name is Mary Palmentary Kaufman. I would like to read to you a story written by Goldie Mingo, titled My Dream. One day, I was at work. Joe gave me a piece of paper to read. I wasn't able to read the piece of paper, so Joe told our co-workers. My co-workers giggled and laughed at me. I was so angry that I went under a tree and ate lunch by myself. While I was eating lunch, I accidentally rubbed on a Budweiser can. When I rubbed on the can, a genie came out. The genie told me I had one wish. Now I could have wished for $1 million or a beautiful new car, or I could have even wished for a better mind. But I wanted to teach Joe a lesson. So I told the genie to send Joe to a foreign land, Africa, where people speak Swahili. The genie sent Joe to a town where everyone spoke Swahili, and the street signs and hotel information were also written in Swahili. The genie told Joe if he could get back to America, he will be granted $1,000,000. Joe started his journey on trying to get back to America. Joe came upon a man and asked him where the airport was. The man spoke in Swahili, and Joe did not understand his response. So Joe thought he would read the telephone book, but the telephone book was written in Swahili also. Joe went to the bus station and asked the bus driver if he was going to the airport. The bus driver spoke in Swahili. Joe finally realized that he could not get back to America because he did not understand Swahili. Joe had to get the genie to help him get back to America. The genie helped me to teach Joe a lesson by showing him that he should not make fun of other people's reading disability. My 30-minute lunch break was over, and I woke up and realized it was just a dream. Thank you.
Thank you both so very much. I'm always inspired by those wonderful readings and those writings of the students there. So it is my pleasure to introduce today our keynote speaker. His name is Shaba Oshvath. Shaba is an amazing individual who is an accomplished artist. He's an ordained minister and a passionate horticulturist. In other words, he works with the mind, the body, and the soul, and the land. So what does all of that have to do with reading and writing? Well, Shaba was born and raised in Hungary, and as an adult, he moved to Wales to become an ordained minister. So while living there in the UK, he was immersed in a job and a life that required him to urgently learn how to speak English. And after some time in Wales, he was offered a fellowship to continue his studies and his religious studies, rather, in Washington, D.C., here in the U.S. And again, Shaba was thrown into a completely different English culture. And this time, he had to learn how to read, write, and study in English. So following his experience in Washington, he moved here to Florida, where he is still practicing ministry. He's a working artist and is also a doctoral candidate in the College of Education at the University of South Florida. So his research, it focuses on the use of art making in support of literacy education. Specifically, he explores digital composing, sculpture, mosaics, video games, and other artistic and visual modes to deepen one's engagement with reading and writing. And I know you're going to enjoy his presentation today. So let's welcome Shaba Oshvath.
I don't like to admit it, but I'm a struggling reader and a struggling writer. Even after 45 years on this planet and over 3 decades of being in school, reading and writing is still a struggle for me. But perhaps it's not a bad thing. To struggle for something, to experience the discomfort of not finding the right word or the correct pronunciation, or even doubting your ability to stay with a demanding book, trying to comprehend the complex story presented through an endless stream of letters page after page. So if you have ever experienced discomfort or even agony while engaging or pursuing literacy, you are not alone. What's more, the pain is an indication that you are a passionate reader, a passionate writer. That's the real meaning of the word passion. Passio in Latin means suffering. When you pursue something passionately, it will always have a dimension of pain, a pain resulting from a great effort or a tireless pursuit. And you all know this. If you desire to be a world-class athlete or a musician or to excel in any profession, you know that the effort it takes will cause and bring some pain along the way. And the truth is that none of us were born to be readers and writers. Reading and writing are not hardwired skills in our brain or natural abilities we are born with. Like playing tennis or basketball or driving a car, reading and writing are human inventions. And I don't want to diminish the immense value of this human invention, because reading and writing saved my life, and I wouldn't be here today if I had given up my struggle with language and the possibility to share myself through written and spoken words. And today, I imagine that many of you may feel isolated and fragmented during this pandemic. Perhaps you are too anxious to pick up a book or practice your writing. You may feel that reading or writing is a waste of time, but perhaps reading and writing can also create time. It can heal us, restore us, keep us sane, allowing us to connect on a deeper level. Reading aloud to a child, writing a letter to someone who is alone or neglected, or just sitting down with a book when you feel afraid, anxious, or uninspired, can have a tremendous impact on you and others. And that's the true measure of literacy, the change it creates. What truly matters is not how many books you have read or how many pages you have written, but how much you changed or changed others through your reading and writing life. Most heroes in the stories we encounter are often the characters who change the most. And we all know how difficult it is to change. It requires struggle, time, and often much suffering. So if you struggle with reading and writing, don't feel shame, because your struggle is an indication of your passion. It means that you want this. You are not indifferent, neutral, or disinterested. And your efforts, believe me, will pay off. And maybe one day it will be you who can inspire others not to give up their pursuit of literacy. When I arrived in the United Kingdom 25 years ago as a 20-some-year-old student, I suddenly became illiterate. I couldn't read, write, nor speak or understand others. It was painful, especially the first few months. Yes, I could have returned to Hungary where I could speak, write, read, and understand others, but I trusted my grandmother, who once told me that when you learn a new language, you gain an extra life, a new existence. When you learn to speak someone else's language, you gain a new existence, often a new family or community. And perhaps this is true for each book we read and the stories we write. They grant us a new dimension, a new perspective. They enlarge or deepen our being, because literacy is transformative. This is why in my dissertation project I write about reading and writing as an incarnational, transformative act. And the word incarnation simply means to become flesh. In the Gospel of John there is a famous passage that the Word of God became flesh and lived among us. Is it really possible that words through reading or writing can turn into life? Because it is not the same to read about, for example, joy and becoming joy. And this is what interests me, how my engagement with words through literacy transforms me, changes me, allowing me to develop as a living being. And all of your wonderful tutors here at HLC are helping you how to read and how to write, how to unlock these superpowers. But what is equally important, and this is what I would like to focus on today, is why should we read? Or why should we write? For me, literacy is not just about reading and writing text. If we define literacy as a meaning-making engagement, helping us to transform information into knowledge and knowledge into lived wisdom, then you can consider other engagements as literacy practices such as art making, crafting, gardening, raising a family, building a home, fixing a car, or even playing video games. When we read, write, cook, clean our house, we are making sense of what's in front of us. We are often making order out of chaos. When reading text on a page, we mobilize seeing, memory, imagination, learn techniques and methods to translate words, letters on a page into an experience. When we write, it's even more interesting as you pay attention to your inner voice or internal speech, the ideas and thoughts emerging inside, invisible and often so chaotic, and you use your hand, various learned skills to make your inner life visible on the page. It's quite a miracle to share our lives on a page, encased in letters and images. So whenever you read or write, think about this because you are creating this miracle. And what's even more important is that you are the source of this miracle. And the greatest miracle in all this is that with each book we read and each page we write, there is the possibility of transformation. That's what keeps me reading and writing, because of this creative dimension or the possibility for something new to emerge in my life. And as readers and writers, we also use our literacy skills to relate to others and the world around us. The Brazilian philosopher and educator Paulo Freire often urged his students that it is equally important to read the world if we want to understand it and transform it. And believe me, the best thing about literacy skills is that you can apply them to reading the world and to make sense of what's happening around us. And this is so true, especially today during COVID-19. We are all characters of a complex story, facing not only the challenges of a health crisis, but also an economic and moral crisis. And we are not on the same boat, as many would say. Some people are on yachts or comfortable luxury boats, but there are many people who are on improvised unsafe rafts or even without a boat, drowning. But I believe if we learn to be more engaged readers, more thoughtful readers, more compassionate readers, then we can create a world with less suffering because we will see things as they really are. Literacy is a pathway to a clearer vision, a sensitivity to notice what really matters and how to best navigate obstacles. Lately, due to being confined to my home, I'm spending a lot of time in virtual reality and playing video games. But I also approach and engage with these new mediums as I would relate to books, with an intention to understand and create new meaning, to create wisdom, or to gain inspiration. Since I live far from my home country, I use Google Earth VR to visit my childhood places. In virtual reality, I can move through the streets of the town I grew up. It is still a cathartic experience to stand in front of my grandparents' flat, to pass by the hospital I was born, to linger in front of the elementary school or the kindergarten I attended as a child. I go to the countryside to visit my great-grandmother's house and the cemetery she is buried, and I am often moved to tears. And as I was preparing for this talk, I decided to visit the children's library in my hometown where I grew up. And as I stood in front of the building that's now some sort of clothing store, suddenly I was flooded with memories of how this library saved my life as a child, how it allowed me to escape into the magical stories of Jules Verne and many other storytellers while the world around me was falling apart. See, my parents' divorce was so painful and disruptive that I often spent whole days in the library. It was the safest place for me. And often I was too anxious to read, so I just laid down between the shelves, built a fort around me from books, so I could breathe freely and feel safe. So please consider libraries as sanctuaries. I have a very good life now, but I still go to the public library every week, and fortunately our library is now reopened. I still borrow a lot of books, even if I can't read them all. I find joy just carrying the books from the library to my car and up to my bedroom. It's a form of exercise, I guess. As for video games, I have been playing an open-world exploration game called No Man's Sky. And the more I play this game, the more I realize that it's the perfect metaphor for literacy. See, each player at the beginning of the game is thrown into a hostile, dangerous alien planet. There are no resources and all your equipment, including your life support, is broken. There are no instructions of what to do, so there is a lot of trial and error. But slowly, very slowly, you begin to learn. First, you learn how to restore your health, your exosuit. You figure out how to fix a crashed spaceship to go to a space station. You learn how to mine for minerals and process them into useful materials. And as you gain more freedom because of the fruits of your efforts, you also realize that you are part of this infinite universe with hundreds of galaxies and millions of star systems and planets to explore. You meet alien races, but of course at the beginning you don't understand them. It makes communicating difficult, but through each encounter you learn a new word, and slowly you acquire these invented fictional languages. You begin to understand their stories and what they can offer. Also, the game doesn't force on you a specific objective, goal or direction. You can do whatever you want. You can become an explorer, a merchant, a scientist, a soldier, even a space pirate. Or you can just find a planet you like and build your dream home, raise animals, start an enterprise, and so on. But what made me think deeply about literacy while playing this game is the multi-tool you carry with you and the exosuit or spacesuit that protects you from the elements. Again, you start the game with a very limited and broken multi-tool and a damaged spacesuit. This is the reason why everything takes so much time, such as mining or cutting through obstacles. It's like being a beginning reader or writer with a lot of struggles and time-consuming engagements. But as you progress, as you acquire new items and even an in-game currency, you can start upgrading your multi-tool and fixing up your exosuit. You can install new technologies that will grant you all these special powers and abilities, so you can safely walk around and explore the harshest planet without dying from radiation or other interstellar calamities. And suddenly you realize that you have this amazing fictional world where you can escape, make friends, or just spend time traveling, discovering plants and animals, or learning fictional languages because you acquired the necessary skills and knowledge. And all this happens through playing a game. And this is what I love about video games. They combine learning and play. And to conclude this talk, I leave you with another story about playing. A famous violinist, Itzhak Perlman, was giving a solo performance in a large concert hall. Hundreds of people were in the audience, as it was a true privilege to see the maestro performing. But during the performance, a string on Perlman's violin snapped. You could just feel that this suddenly changed everything. A momentary silence, people held back their breath. You could have heard a pin drop. What will he do? Will someone just bring him a new instrument? But the maestro turned toward the conductor, and with a smile he made a gentle nod with his head, indicating that everything will be fine, and he continued the concert playing on 3 strings. Yes, he had to reconfigure the music as he played only with 3 strings, but you couldn't notice the difference. At the end of the concert, everyone stood up, but before a standing ovation, the musician turned to the audience and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the challenge in life is to make music from what remains. The challenge in life is to make art from what remains." You can think of the violin as your skills and abilities to read and write, and the music is what you create from reading and writing. Because literacy is a creative act. It inspires us to create something that can be shared with others, bringing joy, fulfillment. It's okay if your instrument has a broken part or if it's imperfect. Because our calling is to create from what remains, even if our music is imperfect, even if you speak with an accent, even if you have to look up every other word in the dictionary while reading or writing, even if you are misspelling or mispronouncing words. None of these limitations can diminish the miracle of who you are as a person and what you share and create as a reader, writer, and teacher in this world. And this is why am I grateful today, witnessing both students and tutors creating a better, safer, more compassionate world through the miracle of literacy. Thank you for all what you do, and thank you for listening.
Wow, that was amazing. Shaba, thank you so much. That was a very inspirational speech, and wow, that's all I can say is wow. I'm at a loss for words because that was incredible. Thank you so much. All right, next we're going to hear a message from a few of our libraries, along with two readings from Visions 2020. The first is going to be called First Step Learn English, as read by the Conversation Corner leader from the Seminole Heights Library, and that will be Alicia Ellison. And after that, we're going to hear, I should say, Tampa in the 1930s, as read by Tutor from 78th Street Library, Megan Rush.
Hi, this is Kelly. Hi, this is Amanda from Brewington Memorial Library and wanted to let the Literacy Committee know that we miss you.
First Step Learning English by Maria Cristina Rincon Perez. I came to this country 2 years ago. I had some knowledge on English, but it was very basic. I thought it was going to be easy for me to speak the language, but the reality was different. I was speaking and understanding very little. As the months passed, I was really concerned that this task every time was further away for me to complete. Going out was a nightmare. Asking for directions. In a restaurant, everything was so difficult. I always had to rely on my husband to talk for me. I was so embarrassed. I was not able to ask things for myself. Those situations gave me the strength to continue with my education. I started taking some classes in different places. I had very good teachers, and I did my homework at home, reading and studying. Every day was an easier one. I went through grammar and conversational classes. I went to the library in Town and Country and found out about some classes and a tutor program. I signed up for both. The classes were really good. We had people to talk to for an hour. That was really important. We talked about everything, the weather, our home countries, but we always ended up talking about food. That was so funny, and the most important thing was that we talked for an hour with a person that was able to correct us and make us better speakers. I met people from all over the world. That is an experience that I will never forget. With the tutor, I had the best experience. She was the kindest person I have ever known. We had a meeting every week, and we talked about different topics. My experience learning this language has taught me that you need to be very careful and ask for everything, no matter what. She was very patient with me. She corrected me those mistakes that nobody was going to do. She had some materials that are all those little details that nobody was going to teach you. And we talk and talk for hours every week. I have homework every week, essays, pages for complete, and so many different things to do. I had so many different questions about this country, about the surroundings, the neighborhood, about the church. She gave me that guidance, and that is very important for me, knowing that I have someone to trust and to ask. The space in the library was always clean. The people that work there is so nice. They were always willing to help us. I would recommend for anyone who needs and wants to learn English to go ahead and ask. Go to the library and sign up for this program. You are going to be as lucky as I was with my tutor.
From around the world to our local library, with some journeys end and others begin.
Changing lives one session at a time. New Tampa Library staff thanks our literacy volunteers.
I am going to read Tampa in the 1930s by Gloria Roberts. In the 1930s, it was bad all over the world. It was the Depression. I know about Tampa because it is my home. People were out of work, no money, no home. Some people killed themselves. They couldn't take it. We had no electricity, no radio, and no refrigerator. We had kerosene lamps and an ice box. You got ice to put in the box that would keep your food cold. We slept on the floor, and I would put the lamp on the floor so I could read. I loved to read. I learned to read by myself. In that time, they could take you out of school to work. Me and my sister would clean houses for people. We would get down on our knees to scrub the floors. We would work all day for 50 cents. There was 8 children. Me and my sister took care of them. My mother said she was sick all the time. We washed clothes for people. We would scrub the clothes on a scrub board. Then we would build a fire and put the pot on the fire to boil the clothes. Then we had 2 tubs to rinse them in. We had to rinse them by hand. It took us all day to do that work. Then we would fix supper. Sometimes we did not have anything to eat. We cooked on a wood stove. We would go out in the woods and pick berries and oranges to eat. We would find food that people threw away. We would wash it real good and eat. I am thankful I don't have to live that way now. It was hard, but we made it. 2 of my sisters are nurses now. I didn't get a chance to go back to school, but I have done all right. My brothers did good too. They went back to school. We became close to each other in the bad times that we had. And it learned us to work at anything we could get. We never had a childhood. We have always been grown up. Everybody was not that bad off. If they had a job, they did not make much, but it did not take much to live on back then. If you had $3, you could live for a week. Bread was only a nickel, milk was a dime. So you can see that it didn't take much to live on. Rent was about $3 a week, but if you didn't have a job, it was hard. Now I am trying to go back to school and learn how to spell and do math. It is so important to go to school. You of today have a chance to stay in school.
Greetings, HLC students and tutors. This is our learning experiences team wanted to say.
We want to say thank you so much for all that you're doing during this time. It means so much to us and to the community. Y'all keep up the great work.
We miss you.
We miss you.
Well, I was checking to see if we had any questions. Chaba is still here for us if anyone had any questions, but I don't see any. And I'm still scrolling to look to make sure, but I don't think we have any questions. So that means I have to say words that I do not want to say. This concludes our program for the year. We sincerely hope that you all had a great time. And we so look forward to seeing everyone in person next year. So until then, do me a big favor and do everyone at the Literacy Council a huge favor. And please keep working hard to improve your reading and your speaking skills. And on behalf of the entire Literacy Council for Hillsborough, student body, the tutors, the administration, we wish you a wonderful year until we, fingers crossed, all see you in person next September. So now I would like everyone, all of members of the Literacy Council and the Library Literacy Department staff and all of our guests, everybody out there, turn on your cameras. We're going to get one big gigantic picture here. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Rod.
It's been amazing. You
Thank
guys
you,
are awesome.
everyone.
Thanks everybody for attending too. All right, everybody put a big smile on.
Thank you, Shaba.
Thank you.
So that was a great presentation. That was so cool.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh.
I think that was the perfect presentation for this format, in this year, I think it really lined up.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
It was wonderful. I kind of cry easy, so you had me there, just so you know.
I was crying my eyes out.
Glad the camera was off, my friend.
Ditto.
That was gorgeous, Chaba.
Thank you.
Thank
Very,
you. Thank you so
very
much.
special.
Thank you.
Very well
Yes,
done.
you're also getting some thanks in the questions. Some thanks. Still no questions? You have a few more minutes, maybe, if anyone wants to ask questions. Yes, Jennifer.
I have a question for Chaba. So all the visual images were those created by you that were there?
Yeah, those are all my recorded gameplays, but I also tried to match each scene with what I was saying. So I was kind of looking back from my playing experience and try to take scenes that would reinforce what I was saying. So I wanted to create this added visual layer to what I was sharing through words.
That was.
So you made the text first, and then you found the images that matched.
Yeah, it was
story?
a very complicated process, but thanks for your multimedia literacy class, I developed these skills. So thank you.
That was the best plug ever, my friend.
Amazingly done.
I know, right?
I have a question. How emotional was it to just Google Earth home?
It's so hard. I mean, and it's still like I have been doing this for a very long time, and I even went back to Wales and the UK and all the places I've been. And in virtual reality, you are immersed into that 3D space, so it's incredibly moving. And I go to the cemetery where my great grandmother is buried, and I just sometimes just stand there for minutes, and it's very powerful. But going to the library was really hard, especially seeing how it changed and it became a clothing store. And I was excited to just go and show the library, but when I went in Google Earth, it was no longer a library. And so all these memories came back, and this grief of something is gone that was so important for me.
Yeah, wow, it was incredible.
Yeah, cool. I had a lot of people texting me about it, Chaba.
Thank you.
It's really had an impact. What a way to start a Saturday.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to watching that video again, as a matter of fact, and picking up some more. And of course, once again, we'll let everyone know we will be posting this whole session, the whole event on YouTube. We do have Chava's video as well, just the video, but we will post this whole event for people to look at later on YouTube. Also, we will post Visions 2020 on our website, and that, if you don't get a chance to download it from here, but it is in the handouts, Vision 2020, a retrospective edition that we kind of bring back some old writings from the past, because we didn't really get a chance to get a lot of new writings this year before we were shut down. We have some from the past with some activities included for how to use those readings, and we have some new readings as well. So don't forget to take a look at that. We will post all this stuff anyone can look at in the future, and tell all your friends to look at all these things as well. Look at the video, look at Visions. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you guys also for all of the questions, all of the kind comments that you're putting in the questions section. Definitely brightens our day to hear from you. Thank you for taking the time to type that up. Much appreciated, and for joining us.
A final thank you to you, Rod. Thank you again.
Thank you. It was amazing.
It's always fun. Love it, love it, love it. Are we officially done? Because I don't want to be done.
I didn't either.
Hang out all day, right?
Let me take a
yeah. Unfortunately, I got to go to work, and we'll, go Bolts, right?
Yeah, go Bolts.
Yeah, go Bolts tonight.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
We'll see you next year.
Indeed.
Yes.
In person.
In person, we hope.
Let's hope.
I'm gonna
yes,
end it now.
I know it.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you, Melissa.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Good day. Stay safe.
Thank you.